What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Mook review. Today we're going to be checking out RHL Robot Hobby Life. So you guys have seen here on my channel, or I hope that you've seen. If not, you can go back and check them out. Many an episode going over the GHL, the Gundam Hobby Life magazine, or Mook as they're referred to, which is a reference to it's not quite a magazine, but it's not quite a book, as in it doesn't come out monthly, so it's not a magazine, but it's basically like a magazine. Though because it doesn't come out regularly, that makes it more like a book, so you mix those two together in Japanese and you get Mook. That's why they're called that. Just thought I'd clear that up for some of you guys. But Robot Hobby Life is the new one that's just starting here with issue 1. These are curated mostly and like almost entirely put together by NAOKI, as I understand it. Fantastic Japanese modeler, has designed a number of different Gundam designs that you guys have probably built some of the kits that he's designed if you guys are not aware of him. But so obviously the point of this is to not focus on Gundam, but focus on everything else of mecha, robot, plastic model kits, basically. So anything mecha model that's not Gundam is going to be featured in here, which is awesome. I'm always a big advocate for trying out other model kits aside from just Gunpla. I'm sure a lot of you guys, come to my channel for Gunpla, or at least that's maybe why you originally found my channel, and that's what you enjoy is Gunpla. But I really enjoy building a lot of stuff other than just Gunpla, and I hope that you guys too. And so I'm really excited to have, this publication here now, this new series that's going to be giving the spotlight to other stuff more than just Gunpla, which is a nice change of pace as well. So there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff in here. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so right here on the front, we've got a little bit of English here announcing we're launching Robot Plamo magazine. Obviously, most of the rest of the publication here all going to be in Japanese. All of the main text, you'll probably have a little bit of English here and there, but it's going to be all in Japanese. This is issue number 001. The list price up here for this is also 2,400 yen, so about, in today's conversion rate, it's about $20, but around $20, $25. Hopefully you guys can see this, how the cover and the photo is all in a kind of nice like satin matte finish, but then like all the text for up here, and then this text is going to be harder to see, is all in a gloss finish, so you have a two-tone finish there for that. Going around here on the back, an advertisement for some Gaia Notes paints, and that's one of the things that you'll see down here as well that is included. You have an added kind of extra little publication inside your publication here, which is all about Gaia Notes character colors. So if you guys are unaware, aside from their main color line, they also have a few other different side color lines, a Votom's line, a Dogrun line, Evangelion line, a Virtual On line. Some really great colors in these lines, although unfortunately for most people, like if you're in the US, they're very difficult to get. You have to order them, and they're just kind of going to be really expensive. And generally they're basically just kind of slightly different versions of different colors you can get. I mean, any of these colors you can make by just, mixing existing colors in the regular line. But let's get into this here just real quick. It looks like there's an interview there with Naoki and Ken Suzuki and Master 13. Master 13 is kind of like the Gaia Notes mascot. I've mentioned before about meeting him before at the Shizuoka Hobby Show, which was a lot of fun. But there's a bunch of text there in an interview talking about the paints, I guess. And then here we have the Votom's line. So you have a couple of like sample builds there, and then all the paints and like color swatches there for your reference. And that continues on here to the next page. We've got the Dogrun line there as well. Some of those colors, of which there's quite a few. The Eva line here. Also got the Dunbine line, which is not featured there as one of these ones on the front, because I think it's one of the smaller lines. It looks like there's really only just this like 9 there, because then the next page, as we don't have like photo references for the kits, but these ones up here are for Zabungle, and these ones down here are for Elgaim. So a couple other like really small lines with just a few colors, but those are really great just to have the like exact specific colors for those couple of kits. There's really not many of those kits either, to be honest. But then we also have the Virtual On line. This is probably my favorite. There's some really, really great colors here in the Virtual On series, as the Virtual On just mecha designs are well known for being like really colorful and really vibrant, kind of in all their colors, and you get that really nicely here with all the paints. So there's some really great options in there. A couple of other really smaller series down there, and then there's also a Hexagear series, a Mechatro Wigo series here as well. I like those colors also, but that's it. So some really cool series of paints there from Gaia Notes if you can get them. They're great. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this here. So right after that, we got an advertisement there for the Moderoid line. Really looking forward to that Big O Moderoid kit. That's going to be a lot of fun. Your table of contents right here. And then the first thing that we're going to get into, although this is again just kind of giving you a few different examples, but it's NAOKI's build here of the Lancelot Albion kit there from Bandai. This one done, of course, in a very clean style, which NAOKI generally keeps it pretty clean. One thing that I do really like about his modeling is the way that he does his really subtle weathering, but that's not existent on this. This is just a completely clean build, but really nice photography here of these. And one thing that I talk about a lot in these Mook reviews that I really like about the Mooks is that you don't really have so much in the way of advertising in them. These issues do have a little bit of advertising, like at the very front and at the very back, but for the most part it's all like actual content and not just like a bunch of ads. So up next we've got the Lasner, and one thing that I will tell you guys also going through this is that I'm not familiar with too much like background information about a lot of these mecha series. I've seen the model kits around, but I couldn't really tell you too much else about a lot of these. So like this is a good example of that. It's a really cool looking model kit, and I'm not sure if this is like customized. It looks like, I mean, I'm sure it's customized to a degree, but it looks super detailed. As far as I know, the model kits that exist of this kit are not that detailed, so it looks like there's probably some detail added, some scribing and those small details added around this, because I mean, this looks really, really nice, really highly detailed, more so than, as I know it, the model kit exists just straight out of the box. But I mean, a lot of really great photos here of this. It's a really cool looking kit here, to be honest, and it actually looks like this is using at least some of the frame parts of the Gelgoog, so I'm almost wondering if this is actually just a kit bash. And there's not, I mean, I was gonna say there's not much information. There's not much information about that in photo form. There's a lot of text, obviously, but okay, so this is the R3 version of the model kit, which the R3 kits is a really, really super short-lived series from Bandai, which I think there's only maybe like 2 or 3 or 4 model kits in the series in general. They're really nice. I built the L Game Mark II R3 kit, and that was really fun. But they are pretty nicely detailed kits. Okay, let's check out the Super Mini Pla Bio Robo here. The Super Mini Pla line, as you guys may be familiar with, is a quite expensive line from Bandai. Really, kind of, I don't understand why they're so expensive, because, you know, as the name would allude, they're kind of small model kits, you know, nothing really too crazy. You can tell just by this diorama, which is a really cool diorama, by the way. I mean, you can, just by the scale of this, you can kind of get a sense of these model kits not being very big. You got a couple of work in progress photos over here, and that's one thing that I'm noticing so far within the first couple of builds, is that there's not much in the way of work in progress. Most of this is just for showcasing the finished models, which is great. Just personally, I would like to see a little bit more kind of work in progress photos in there, just because it's interesting to see. But, you know, it's also just nice to kind of enjoy the finished product. This one, I don't even know. Okay, this is the Great X Kaiser. Yeah, so definitely not my expertise knowing about different designs like this, model kits like this, not what I'm into. But I mean, again, it's a pretty cool build. This one is a good example of some nice subtle weathering on there. There's a little bit, which is probably going to be difficult for you guys to even see on there. Who's this by? It looks like this is by Kawaguchi, which I would imagine is Meijin Kawaguchi, unless there's a different Kawaguchi. I'm not sure, but that's pretty cool. Obviously of Gunpla fame, Meijin Kawaguchi, but you know, I'm sure. Oh no. Okay, it's definitely not. Over down here we have a little profile anyway, and also a Twitter ID of @SoRay. So that's pretty cool that is there the same for the previous builds too? Was there a link? Yeah, so at the end of each write-up for each feature, there's a little bit with a Twitter profile, or at least a profile about the modeler. This one doesn't have a Twitter profile on it, but I guess if the modeler is on Twitter, they have their Twitter profile there, which is pretty cool. All right, Motoroid series here, the Windom, Ceres, and Ray Earth. Some pretty interesting looking kits there. Have you guys built these? I kind of thought about picking up one of them and trying it. Would you guys recommend it? Those of you who have built any of these, would you recommend any particular version of them? They're kind of interesting. Again, like a little bit not to my taste really, but they look like pretty just cool model kits. That's a great thing, you know, with trying out different things that, you know, are maybe kind of out of your comfort zone or out of what you would kind of generally go for. The nice thing about that is that you may discover that you actually really enjoy something that, you know, at first glance, I would look at this and think, not interested. But, you know, maybe after building the kit, it would make me, you know, rethink that, or at least I would enjoy it as a model kit. Maybe the subject material, you know, of this is still not to my taste, just the aesthetic of it, but just as a model kit, it can be a lot of fun. So if you guys have built any of these and you have any recommendation as to like a model in this series that you built and you really enjoyed, let me know down in the comment section, because they look kind of interesting. They look like fun model kits at the very least. Okay, we got the Dogrun version GT, the Get Truth version of the Dogrun here by Max Watanabe-san. This is actually a model kit that I just very recently reviewed. So this is a Max Factory kit. Really fun, nice, simple little kit. I highly recommend it to you guys if you're Dogrun fans. But we actually just the other day got the announcement that Max Factory is making a much larger 1/35th scale version, which looks awesome. Much more detailed and obviously, again, like much bigger. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Really, really looking forward to that. But this is a really nice job here. Of course, it's from Max, who, you know, can do no wrong basically when it comes to his mecha modeling, but that looks really nice. All right, a few more photos here. I had to kind of double take that because I almost thought, just because of the change in the background, the colors of the kit just appear to be a little bit different, just because like how the color balance is on that. But it is the same kit, it's just kind of the lighting and the background's different. But some more photos of that, really nicely done. Just the painting on that looks so nice. And then a little profile there on Max flexing in his sleeveless red leather vest. That's pretty awesome. Here we have the 1/24 scale Garland. I'm not sure if I'm sure I've seen this before. I was gonna say I'm not sure I've ever seen it. I'm sure I have, but not very much. This is a pretty obscure one as far as I know. It looks like it transforms into a motorbike, so that's pretty wild. This is in the from the Axe series. Okay, very interesting indeed. So that's a pretty unique design. Definitely not one that I've ever really thought too much about, just because, like I said, I'm sure I've seen it, but not very often. If any of you guys have built this kit or have any kind of information or interesting knowledge to share about this one, definitely let me know, because it looks quite unique. Definitely very interesting. The transformation into the whole motorbike thing, you know, I'm not really too into that, but the mecha version does a pretty cool, like the kind of robot version. All right, next up we've got the Wave Scope Dog, the 1/35th scale Scope Dog. Again, I've reviewed the kit. There's different versions of it. I've not reviewed this particular version, as you can see right over here, but I've reviewed a few of the different Votom's kits from Wave. They're pretty nice, quite small, simple as far as the kits go, but really nicely detailed. And at first I was looking at this thinking that that's the two dioramas, but it's actually just two photos right next to each other of kind of different angles of the diorama, where we have the Red Shoulder Custom pilot and this kind of machine there in the back, sort of like a crane there in the background, which makes for a nice background for a diorama like that, you know, just rather than having just your one central focal piece of the Scope Dog itself, but you have that machine there in the back giving some nice depth and nice adding to the composition of the scene anyway. So that looks pretty cool. A lot of really great details around that, from like the tools, like the kind of oil spill there at the foot of the machine, this kind of covered taped version over here. So I guess this is like kind of showing the process of painting that shoulder red. It's got like kind of a masking, or like the way that it's modeled to look like it's got kind of like a mask cover around that section, so like to show it's in like the middle of the shoulder being painted. That's pretty cool. Definitely like that. That would be, I wonder how that's modeled. It kind of looks like it's just like a paper or something, but I wonder what he used for that. That's quite interesting. You got some other photos of it just kind of here on its own outside of the diorama, a couple of small work in progress photos, and that looks all pretty interesting. I like it. Okay, here we got some Macross here, the Super Batroid Valkyrie. This is a Hasegawa kit here from Ken16W, a very familiar name that I see in publications all the time, and just around on Twitter all the time as well. But really, really nice modeling here on this one. That looks really cool. I love all the details around on this kit. This would be the non-transforming version of this kit, I believe. Yeah, so it's just exactly like that. But we do have the Super Batroid Valkyrie here with a different head on it, it looks like, for that. But I love how clean and sharp this is. The clear parts also look really nice on this one, so that looks quite interesting. Really beautifully modeled here. The colors and the detail, everything super sharp. Really, really nice. All right, then moving on here to the Techaman Blade. This is a kit that I actually did want to build up. I've not ever gotten around to building one, but I've always thought it does look kind of interesting. So this is probably one that at some point I would like to build this kit up. Again, I'm not familiar with the kind of source material or anything at all for this, but it does look like a cool kit. This is probably the most weathered one that we've seen so far, even more so than the Scope Dog, which had a little bit of kind of natural weathering on it, but this one's kind of a little bit more so, just kind of an overall, oh, well, I guess it's done. An overall kind of grime and, I'm not sure, kind of like dry brushing effect around on it, just to kind of make it look overall like still clean-ish, but just, yeah, just kind of a general dirt and grime to it. So interesting. So yeah, then right after that we've got the Walker Galia, another really odd one. I love the bazooka that this thing has. It has this big giant, like, looks like a huge fat cigar bazooka with this big magazine sticking out the top of it. But this one is really nice. I've seen this build around on Twitter before. Actually, this is one that I know I do recognize just because I remember admiring it on Twitter just for like the weathering and the details around on this. This one is really nicely done. This one says modeled by Gaia Notes, actually, interestingly enough. Okay, but I don't know who it was that I saw, who was the builder that I've seen sharing this on Twitter. If you guys know, you can let me know again down in the comment section. But yeah, really, really cool. Again, this is a model kit. Like, looking at this style is totally not to my taste at all. It's just this very retro style here, this kit from Bandai. But seeing it done up so nicely does make me want to try one out for myself. It makes me want to build one just because, like, I want to try and see if I can make it look even remotely close to being that good. But it looks really cool. It looks like a fun kit to model, whereas like the actual like model kit itself, the design of it is not to my taste, but it looks like it'd be a fun kit to build. All right, then we got the Serbine here from Wild River. Wild River, a fantastic diorama modeler, and so you can see that here with this one. So you've got this kind of really interesting scene here with these crusaders riding up on horses up to the Serbine, and then the Serbine looking like it's like coming out of some sort of portal or something, which looks really interesting. Which model kit is this? Because I know Bandai and Max Factory both came out. Okay, yeah, this is the Max Factory, or the Plamax. Yeah, the Plamax version of that, which again looks like a really cool kit just in terms of how nicely detailed the kit is. But some really interesting effects going on here with like the different lighting effects and everything on that. That looks really cool. There's a whole section here about making the diorama, which is pretty nice. Again, it's nice to have some more work in progress photos. And even though, it's just this one section here, at least it's a little bit more kind of in-depth going into the actual work in progress of that, which is nice to see. The glowing water is also really quite cool for that. That looks nice. Okay, up next here we've got the Falguen Mafu. Yeah, really no idea about this, but it looks like what he's done here is kit bashing this with the Dragonar 1, a really, really great HD kit, which I also just recently reviewed, that came out last year. So he's kind of taken the old kit and then kit bashed it with the Dragonar to make this really nice new version of that. So a really great example of fixing an old kit by sort of combining it with a new kit. And yeah, that Dragonar 1 would be a really great kit for a model, as long as it's kind of a similar design. A great kit to base that off of, just because the Dragonar 1 has that basically full inner frame that you can utilize for a kit like this, so that looks really cool. So I'm guessing this is also from the Dragonar series, and so just even though Bandai did make a really fantastic new HD of the Dragonar 1, of some of the other mecha from the series, they just only have, I think, everything else from the series. They only have these older kits like this, so if you wanted a really nice new model to go along with your nice new Dragonar 1, you'll have to kit bash it, which, yeah, really fantastic job on that. It looks really cool. Okay, then we got Raideen the Brave. This is also a Bandai kit that, again, I'm sure I've seen around from time to time, but certainly not one I've ever paid much attention to, just because I really don't know anything about this, and this is pretty obscure as far as I know, so it's pretty wild. A lot of work in progress photos here for this, which is really nice, as it looks like it took a lot of modification work and everything just to get it looking as nice as it does. I mean, it's beautifully modeled. And then you have this whole kind of scene here of this pyramid head type of thing that I guess opens up, and you have this gold one inside. I guess that's it in like a different form or something like that. It's pretty cool. I can definitely appreciate the kind of aesthetic of that. It's not to my taste. But okay, here we've got Umi Shinonome. I'm sure a lot of you guys are very familiar with her works, both video and photo on Twitter. She's really in the past couple years like blown up and become super famous in the modeling world, kind of in both aspects of the modeling world, I guess you could say. So here's her SDF1 model kit, which seems to be kind of an afterthought. Not like the main subject of this, but here we've got the process of crafting and painting Macross 001. So I guess this is like kind of a coverage, like photo coverage of some of the work that I believe probably a lot of this is covered in her videos on her YouTube channel. So pretty smart on NAOKI to, if he was the one that made the decision to feature her in the magazine here, to capitalize on how popular she has been recently and give her this full feature here in the Mook is a pretty good idea. But it's really nicely done. I mean, she's a fantastic modeler, as you can see here from this. The modeling work on this looks really good. The SDF1 Macross Movie Edition kit, it's a pretty nicely detailed kit and looks really nicely painted. The painting style of this, it looks like it was not airbrushed actually, but just hand painted. Yeah. So here you can see she did the little bit kind of Max Watanabe technique, basically kind of black base and then kind of hand brushing the paint on there to get this effect. It looks really good. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Oh, here's the real size. So this is giving you kind of, that's the actual size of the model kit there. That's pretty cool. I don't know if I've ever really seen that too much in a Mook like this. And then we have some more photos now here. She's in a yukata holding the model, and there it looks like it's an interview here with her and Naoki. So yeah, a lot of really great interview features usually in the Gundam Hobby Life and Robot. Now in the Robot Hobby Life issues, it's just that, you know, if you want to actually read those, you'll have to take out your phone and do some translating. But here we have the Meles Kenbu Zan here. This is from Naoki. This is the 1/72nd scale version, so that means this is the HG, right? Yep, the HG kit. And this one is in Naoki's weathered style, which, as I was mentioning before, he has a really nice style, in my opinion, to his weathering that it's quite subtle. This one is a little bit more on the heavier side, but it's still done really nicely. I think fits the scale of something like this. And this, I guess this is a little bit different scale. So like typically on a 1/100 scale or a 1/44 scale, I mean, that's a much smaller scale. This is 1/72nd, so it's a little bit bigger. So that means you can make your weathering a little bit more pronounced on something like this. So I mean, I think he has a really good sense of fitting the weathering to match the scale of the kit, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So that's pretty cool. Okay, Robot Plastic Model Kit Special Interview. You can have an example of all the different company logos over here of the model kits featured inside, and then the rest of this is, I think, all just interview stuff, kind of interviews with different people, different contributors about different model kits and everything. Here's Naoki and Max sitting down together there, and it looks like at least this section, there's quite a extensive section there between Naoki and Max, and this next part here is Naoki and a representative from Kotobukiya. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, so between Naoki and representatives from these different companies. So the first one was Bandai Spirits, and then Max Factory, and then Kotobukiya, and then Good Smile Company here, which is also Max, but I guess more specifically Good Smile Company there. Talking about the Motoroid team there, it looks like Aoshima, which would be the Axe line I mentioned before. So your Aoshima, Hasegawa here, and the Bandai SMP, or Shokogan Modeling Project there, Wave Corporation over here, Orange Cat Industry over here. And that's it. So unfortunately, there wasn't any Maschinen Krieger stuff from the Wave Corporation, but considering this is robots, a lot of this Maschinen Krieger stuff is more like suits and ships, which are not technically robots, I guess. Although I feel like they probably could have worked in here kind of just as well. It's like the Dogrun and the Votams are kind of similar, I feel like. But I guess, anyway, that's fine. And then that is going to be the end. We've got on the very last back inside cover here a little feature about the Gundam Inlay, that AOZ reboot series there from Kotokawa. And that's it. All right, so really awesome first issue of Robot Hobby Life. A lot of stuff in here, like I mentioned, is like model kits of, you know, different type of robots that wouldn't be the type of thing that I would normally be that interested in, just aesthetically. You know, there's different robots kind of designs that are to my taste and not. But like I said, sometimes just seeing one and like looking at this and being like, wow, that actually just by the way that it's modeled and like how it's portrayed here, how it's featured in this issue, it actually looks like it'd be a really fun kit that I want to try out. And then, you know, that would lead you to try out something and, you know, maybe you really, really enjoy it. So that's the good thing about, you know, getting some exposure to some different type of mecha models aside from just Gunpla all the time. So I highly recommend it. Really great issue. Pat on the back for NAOKI. I'm a bit disappointed that this does not come with water slides, as most of the Gundam Hobby Life issues do come with water slides, which is a nice added feature. This one did not, unfortunately. Maybe future issues will, I'm not sure. We did get the like special Gaia Notes color book, but I mean, it's basically just kind of like a shopping guide for Gaia Notes paints, essentially. But really great issue. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. There was a lot of stuff in here that I didn't really know a whole lot about, so I'm sure a lot of you will be sharing your thoughts with me about those things. But if you guys have a favorite model featured from this issue, let me know down in the comment section as well. But of course, if you guys are looking to check out any of the model kits, paints, tools, supplies, anything like that for yourself, you can check the link in the video description for USA Gundam Store. Got all that good stuff for you guys to try out. Yeah, and shop around, try out some different mecha models there. I highly recommend it. That's gonna do it for this video, guys. If you'd also like to like and subscribe while you're here, I would really appreciate it. But until next time, hope y'all have a great day. I'll see y'all later. Bye, guys.